We're making a healthier caramel apple pretzel bite with crisp apple chunks, medjool dates, and melted chocolate. There's no messy caramel required, just a naturally sweetened, salty and crunchy treat that is topped with peanuts. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes to our favorite foods, then you are in the right place. Now you're welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can click on the link that's in the video description below, and that will take you to the full recipe with all the details, including nutrition facts, ingredients and substitutions, and frequently asked questions. Now to make these really easy apple bites, we're going to start with an apple, and you could use any variety that you like. I love using the green Granny Smiths because they give you that classic caramel apple color. So we're going to start with one apple, and then to make the slicing super quick and easy, I love using my little slicer here that cuts it into 8 pieces. Of course, you could cut this by hand. And now that we have these 8 pieces, I'm going to cut each apple slice into thirds. I think that makes a nice apple bite size. Now it is going to make these triangular apple pieces, and I found that I have some that are a little bit longer on the tip. I'll go ahead and just slice that off. And that just makes it a little flatter on the bottom, which makes it a little bit easier to assemble our bites. And then you can snack on the extra pieces while you're making them. Now to add the caramel without having to make a caramel sauce and to use a natural sweetener, we're going to use some medjool dates. So you just want to take some pitted dates. I'm just going to cut it in half and then kind of spread them out and flatten them. And then you can just cut these into thirds or fourths depending on their size. Next, we're going to melt down our chocolate chips, and you can use any that meet your dietary needs. I really like using these Hu dark chocolate baking chips because they have really clean ingredients and they're allergy friendly. So I've just added half a cup of them to this microwave safe bowl, and then I'm just going to microwave them in 30-second intervals, stirring in between till they're nice and melted. And depending on the chocolate you use, you may or may not have to add some coconut oil to help thin it out. So after the first 30 seconds, you can see that they're starting to melt, but they're not quite there yet. So I'm just going to give it a quick stir and then put them back in the microwave for another 30 seconds. So after our second round of 30 seconds, you can see that they're really starting to melt. So I'm just going to stir it here for a minute. Well, that is nice and smooth and has a real pourable consistency, so I won't have to add any coconut oil. Now the last thing to prep is our peanuts, and you could either use them halved, or I like to chop them down so they're a little bit finer. So I'm just going to use my chopper cup that comes with my immersion blender. And I'll just transfer these to a smaller bowl. Now for the pretzels, you could use any variety that you like, depending on if you need gluten-free or not. Snyder's makes a really great brand of gluten-free pretzels that taste really good. And if you don't need gluten-free, then we love using the butter snaps. I love the square shape and they taste really good. So I've just taken a cookie sheet and lined it with some parchment paper, and then I'm just going to spread out a bunch of pretzels. And it really helps to have these ready before we start dipping the apples. So to make our apple bite, we're going to start by taking one apple chunk, and we'll just send a toothpick right down the center of it. And then we'll take a little piece of our medjool date and put that on the bottom. And using my thumbs, I'm just going to kind of squish it around the bottom of the apple. And then we'll push our toothpick so it just comes out the other end. And then we just take it and dip it into our chocolate. And I like to get chocolate on all 4 sides and the bottom, but leave the green peel on the top. I'll let some of the extra chocolate drip off. And then we'll sprinkle on some of our peanuts. And then we just place it on top of our pretzel. And then you can just lightly push down your toothpick until it reaches the pan. And as that chocolate starts to flow down, it's going to sit nice and tall on your pretzel. So this is why it helps to cut a flat bottom on your apple chunk before you put the date on it. And then once you finish assembling all your apple chunks, you can put your tray into the freezer or the fridge until the chocolate is set. I have a few I made earlier that are ready to enjoy. And then you can decide if this is a 1-bite apple bite or a 2-bite apple bite. And I think it helps to actually take the toothpick out before you bite into it. I think this will need to be 2 bites. That tastes so good. That seriously has all the flavor that we love in a caramel apple. As you bite into that apple, you get the crunchy chocolate and peanut on the outside. And then I love getting that little surprise piece of date inside that totally gives it that caramel flavor. And then having the saltiness coming in from the pretzel on the bottom is so good. And I love that it's made with clean, natural ingredients that are allergy friendly. Now, if you could use more healthy inspiration on a regular basis, I invite you to join my email list. All you have to do is click on the link in the video description below, and that is the best way for us to stay connected. And I want to thank you for hanging out with me today in my kitchen, and I've included the link to the full recipe, and it's in the video description below, and that will take you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I invite you to join me again in my kitchen.